What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Love Coach Dr. Thomas. And I got confused there for a moment because I was texting one of our wonderful presenters, Geraldine Orozco, who will be here a little bit later on the show. But we've got with us one of my favorite co-hosts, the great Alan Steinfeld, author of Making Contact, he who knows all things going on with UFOs, UAPs, disclosure, and a whole lot more. And his significant colleague these days, Hope Fitzgerald, is with us. And we're going to learn all about some wonderful things they're going to be doing. And hopefully, some of us are going to join them in Sedona and or Mount Shasta soon. And if it's a Make Contact show, you know that John Martin's going to be here because John is the one who's really showing us how it's done. He is, when I grow up, I want to be John Martin because he's really showing us how to be in your heart and to make contact. And we are now going to make contact with our house musical artist, my beloved brother, our dear Omar Shar, to get us started with some wonderful music.
That is right. And tonight we're making contact. And so contact with Facebook and contact with YouTube. And this is a up-tempo song called Out of the Blue. And it's about our ancestors because we all know that part of our ancestry comes from the stars. In fact, we are made of stars. And I know that's true. I don't care if anyone doesn't believe me. In fact, Moby wrote a song about that a couple of decades ago. We're all made of stars. And so Out of the Blue, it's short but sweet. So get your dancing shoes on, and I'm just going to change my source and press go. Woohoo!
Whatever happened to the ones that came before? Did they just vanish into the blue? Maybe they're living the dream we know to be true and reaching their hands back out of the blue. My heart is so ready to embrace all that's new. I feel the love calling for me too. Break on through. With peace on my mind, I know that I'm coming There's nothing here to hold me back from you. The clouds of my life have blown away. My lightness of being lifts me every day. I find myself feeling not so blue. My heart is so ready to embrace all that's new. I feel the love calling for me to break on through. With peace on my mind, I know that I'm coming to a new way of life that feels so true.
Oh, that got us off to a rocking and rolling start.
Indeed it did.
Wow, let's all give a big twinkle to Omashar there. That was awesome.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
just jumped right in, moving and grooving and dancing away.
I know, that was the opportunity right there.
Absolutely, that was quite wonderful. Thank you, Omashar. And Omashar will be back with multiple songs. We also have John Martin with us, who's going to play a little guitar and has put together a video for us. So it's going to be a very, very fun and special show. And how come I'm not seeing myself right now? Did I accidentally hit? Did I? Here we go. Thank you very much, Omashar, who saves me multiple times per show. Hey, I wanted to, before I introduce Alan, I want to address some issues that have come up. I've gotten quite a few emails from people, and I want to address the challenge that we face in communicating with each other about difficult topics. And I recognize that certainly within our Global Peace Tribe, there are different political views, there are different beliefs, and we're all family. And we're here to demonstrate how family can hold space for each other, even if we have different beliefs and different ideas. I try to keep the show not too political. I recognize that right now there's a lot going on, obviously, in the world that's chaotic and scary for many people and having a very real impact, including a very real impact on some of the people in this room. So my request is for us to have empathy and compassion for anyone who has been impacted or is being impacted or is sharing about their impact. Let's have empathy and compassion. And let's not get lost in whether something is factually true or not, whether this belief is accurate or this thing is good. Let's avoid, we're not going to go into good, bad, right, wrong, but we're going to stay in compassionate care for each other. And I think for the most part, we do that. But a few people have reached out to me with concerns about some of the dialogue that's taken place in the chat room sometimes, and concerns about some of the things that may have been expressed by some of our recent presenters that in their passion may or may not be factually accurate. And so that's why I want to address that. And look, I'm a love coach. We're all about love. Let's keep it in a state of loving compassion. The last thing I'll say on that is that, as best as I can tell, the meaning of life is we're here to learn to love ourselves and each other. And the highest form of love is compassion. And the highest form of compassion is radical acceptance of others and radical acceptance of each other. So let's all practice that, okay? Thank you. That's my little opening thought. And now we get to tonight's show, because I'm really eager to hear from Alan Steinfeld. He has been at the Sedona Ascension Retreat, which I had planned on attending, but instead other wonderful things happened in my life. And so, Alan, tell us, what's the latest from the retreat? What's the latest from Sedona?
Well, the retreat was fantastic. But first, I want to address what you just said, because as we go into the age of disclosure, we have to be compassionate human beings. These beings, whoever they are waiting for us to grow up. And if we can't get along with each other, how are we going to ever make friends with some beings that don't look like us, don't think like us, that we don't understand? So that's like the ground rules for making contact. If we're going to really get over ourselves to go out and meet what the universe has to offer, we have to be the humans we always thought we were, whatever Jesus said, or the great teachings. It's like the love and compassion. It should be a given, but I guess it's not. So anyway, I just wanted to address that.
Yeah, thank you, Alan. That's a really important add-on. Thank you.
Yeah, because really we have to grow. This is what these other beings are waiting for us to do, is grow up. We're like teenagers arguing with each other because we don't like what someone said or how they looked or what their baseball team is or a political party. It's like, does that really matter when you come down to just the core person itself? They're not their opinions. They're not their history. They're not their name. They are the infinite. We are the infinite. So how are you going to argue with the infinite?
Absolutely. Although I do got to say, Dodger fans are the best. But other than that, I agree with everything you just said.
All right. Well, that's the problem right there, Scott, because there's always an exception, right?
I couldn't resist.
But anyway, getting back to your question, Sedona Ascension Retreat was fantastic. I hosted it. I had a great time with Robert Grant, who's a true genius, understanding the geometry of the pyramids. William Henry was there. JJ and Desiree Hurtak was there. So it was gearing us up for the Ascension, which is something that Hope and I are doing as we come out to Sedona and call in these next level of being so we can raise our frequency. It's all about frequency and the change of thought. And this is actually happening in government. Not to switch topics a little bit, but The Age of Disclosure is a new movie out about insiders that are the people we look for to come forward so this thing can burst wide open and we don't have to keep the secrets or the illusions or the lies or the cover-ups. It is time we live in the age of disclosure. So there's a new movie out. It's not public yet, but it was just shown at the South by Southwest Festival called The Age of Disclosure with some of our favorite whistleblowers. So that's what's new on the disclosure front. And should we show a clip of that, Scott?
Yes, please do. And also, while you're watching the clip, take a look at what Jeffrey put into the chat box after you start the clip.
What? Oh, after I start the clip, put in,
Yeah.
look at the chat. Okay, I'm going to start the clip. Now, The Age of Disclosure is this latest film. And I don't know everything about disclosure, but I know what things pop up. So this is inside government sources, The Age of Disclosure.
The American people are ready to receive the truth.
Humanity is not the only intelligence in the universe.
Humanity is not the only intelligent species.
We are absolutely not alone.
Non-human intelligence exists.
UAPs are real, they're here, and they're not human. I spent 25 years as a senior official with the CIA.
I've worked on highly classified UAP programs.
28 years as an astrophysicist.
I served as the 4th Director of National Intelligence.
Director of Aviation Security in the National Security Council.
The one-star admiral after 32 years of service.
People that come forward with this, I feel like they've taken their life in their own hands.
I was recruited to a highly sensitive government program that investigated unidentified aerial phenomenon.
For over 16 years, on behalf of the U.S. government, I worked as a senior intelligence official on the unidentified aerial phenomenon topic.
We learned that the U.S. government was involved in a long-running secret war with other nations to collect and reverse engineer vehicles not made by humans.
I have seen with my own eyes non-human craft and non-human beings.
Look at this thing. It's rotating. There's a whole fleet of them.
The first country that cracks the code on this technology will be the leader for years to come.
China has established its own version of a UAP task force.
You think for a second that they wouldn't consider using it to achieve their ends of domination?
This is similar to the Manhattan Project. This is the atomic weapon on steroids.
This is so secret. Very, very few people in our entire government have been allowed access to it.
Even presidents have been operating on a need-to-know basis, but that begins to ramp out of control.
It's not acceptable to have secret parts of government that no one ever sees.
You better be careful about a government that doesn't trust its people, because there's no telling what they'll pull on you.
This is the biggest discovery in human history.
You had information being locked away that could change the trajectory for a species.
It has so many beneficial impacts, including clean energy.
We should have disclosure today. We should have disclosure tomorrow. The time has come.
What else you want to know?
So that will be out soon. That is going to be a groundbreaker. It's already making the news around the world. I'm not sure when it's going to be. They're looking for a theatrical release. But what that movie shows is there's levels. So there's the government keeping secrets, but it's the experiencers. It's those people like John Martin, me and Hope, and other people are having the direct contact. So in a way, we don't need these government people to come forward, but they are the keepers, the holder of reality, the way the church said, no, the earth is the center of all things. And that's kind of the official doctrine. So what this movie and what insiders are doing is saying, nope, there's a lot more here. And Hope and I, and we'll talk about this, are going out to Sedona and Mount Shasta to activate that making contact feeling so we have direct experience. So you don't have to wait for the government, but it's like a school from kindergarten to graduate, the ones just learning about it and the ones already having that interaction. So, we're trying to fast track everyone up so the earth can really change and the people on it can come into a new realization of who we really are. Does that make sense, Scott?
Yeah, it does. Three questions actually, and then I want to briefly put Scotty Satori on, and then of course bring in Hope. Can you put the link to that trailer into the chat box?
Yeah.
And is it going to be a feature film? People see it in movie theaters, or is it going to be available online right away?
What I heard, and I don't know because I'm not directly, is that they're trying to go for theatrical release to make the biggest impact possible. I think they're negotiating with distributors. So it still hasn't got that official thing. So it's been shown at just that one festival. So we're hoping for theatrical release, but it probably will be seen by more people if it goes online.
Okay. And are you familiar with what Jeff Colebrook put into the chat box?
No, what is he saying here?
Custodians of reality. Have you heard about that?
Wait, the what reality?
It's apparently it's a video about the story of Saturn's rings being generated by ships. Do you know that?
Oh, Ring! I see Ring Custodians. That looks amazing.
Okay, well, yeah, I didn't know if you were familiar with it. We'll check it out. We'll check it out after the show.
I am not familiar with it at all, but it looks like it's something I'd like to be familiar with.
Yeah, definitely.
It's really,
you know what it comes down to, Scott? I just want to say the world is so mysterious and unknown, and we've been living in this very narrow bubble, listening to people's ideas of what reality is. And we're coming to the age of disclosure, meaning we're coming to the realization that we are multidimensional, telepathic, divine, eternal beings. And that's the real disclosure. That's what I want to say.
It's a point well taken. I want to briefly give Scotty Sartori, since we were talking about the Sedona Ascension Retreat. Scotty, I'm putting you on camera. Tell us about what you most enjoyed about Sedona and what you want your Global Peace Tribe family to know.
Wow. Hey, Scotty.
Wow, yes. Alan and is our cosmic comedian. You are just so funny. And Alan and Susan on stage just knocked it out of the park. They were incredible. But yeah, I was Scott, I think I sent a message out that because of the Global Peace Tribe, we all knew each other there. And we had just Tangela, of course, was there, and my Vivian Chavez community was just out of the park, and it just got better and better and better. And then they did a whole thing for the volunteers, and we got a standing ovation. Yay! We rocked it out. We had a huge storm hit us right when I got there, so I left Colorado and out of the snow thinking sandals. Sure, nope, we got a snowstorm, but we had a few people that couldn't make it as volunteers, but we rocked it out. It just went better and divine, and a lot of people that we all know were there.
Right.
We're sending our love to you all. So,
all right. Well, I'm glad you were able to make it for sure, Scotty. That's great.
I did. I was very blessed. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right.
Yeah. I have to say, Scotty was a huge help there behind the scenes. He was just fantastic, right there on the spot for everyone. So, okay, sorry to interrupt you, Scott. Go ahead.
He's definitely Scotty on the spot. Absolutely. Hey, we need more hope in our lives. It's a tough time out there, a lot going on. And I am so grateful that not only do we have ever increasing hope in the world, but we have hope right here in the audience with us. Welcome back to the Awakening World, Hope.
Oh, thank you, Scott. So good to be with you again and with your lovely tribe, and to be presenting our incredible retreats that Alan and I have dreamed up through guidance. I might have mentioned every year I'm guided to bring a group somewhere in the world. And I never know where it's going to be until I get out my dowsing rods and start asking. So this year, it became clear that we were to stay in the U.S. Last year, I was at Mount Shasta. And this year, it turns out we were supposed to go to Sedona. And Alan and I have known each other quite a number of years. And we've often said, gee, we ought to do something together, blah, blah, blah. And then two things happened. I got this guidance that I was supposed to take a group to Sedona. And then I read Chris Bledsoe's book last fall. And I realized something and I hope that this audience will really understand this. I've been following the UFO phenomena for decades, just decades. I've read many books on the subject. I've taken some deep dives down some rabbit holes. But when I read Chris's book, I realized that I had sort of put the track of ufology over here and my spiritual life over here. And they were running a bit parallel, but they weren't together. And his book made me realize that I'm not alone in this. I think a lot of us have been observing, but not really getting involved. We didn't know maybe how to do it. We didn't, for whatever reason. I know a lot of people did get involved and have gotten involved, but there are many of us on a spiritual track that just didn't know what to make of it and how to fit that in. And when I read Chris's book, I realized, oh, this is now the time to be stepping up on an individual basis. I'm speaking for myself, but I think it's true really for all of us. And start being a good neighbor by waving. And I know it seems so simple, but we can't let the government dictate how this is going to happen. If we come together individually in our own backyards or as a group, and we start waving, we start energetically raising our frequencies so that we can meet them somehow, have a communication of some kind to let them know we want to learn, we're good eggs, we want to make a difference, we want to do what I think they're going to help us with, and that is to make this leap of evolution that is right around the corner. That's what we've all been preparing for. That's what this chaos is about. We don't change when things are all very status quo. We change when the salad gets tossed, and we got to make something up or be available for a new idea. So then Alan and I started talking, and we realized, okay, this is an opportunity to take this personally, bring a group to Sedona, which is already so incredibly charged, and where there are a lot of sightings, and use this technology that I've been teaching for 15 years now called the infinity wave. And Scott, to your opening remarks about compassion and love, the infinity wave is a figure eight of flowing water. That's what the metaphor, the symbol is. But like many symbols, there's a lot behind it. So what's behind this figure eight of flowing water is 10th dimensional love and compassion. Now, we don't have to get in the weeds about 10th dimensional, but we just know it's very refined and it's very potent. And when we use that symbol to invite it into our lives, I mean, everybody who learns it ends up, having an experience pretty much of either calming down or feeling better or just going about their life with more ease. Flow equals love and compassion equals flow. So when we're in a flow state, we know that we are available to the universe, to our guide team, to our higher selves, to what is in the highest and best for us. And magic, right? Magic can happen then. So my hypothesis is that this powerful frequency of the infinity wave will be the tool that will help people easily raise the frequency so that we can do this waving and maybe get a wave back. That's what we're looking for, some kind of wave back. And then I'm just going to encourage, based on that experience, really encourage groups to go out and do this very informally. You don't have to, you don't have to ask anybody. You can just go and do it yourselves. So then as Alan and I got talking, we realized, you know what, we really want to go to Mount Shasta too. So we added on a second workshop immediately following Sedona to go to Mount Shasta for similar reasons that we are going to Sedona, in that it is already a fully charged site and there are already many, many years of visitations there. So that's what we're up to and kind of why we're doing it. And, if all of us can stay in this frequency of love and compassion, and if we fall out of it, as human beings want to do, we have this symbol that we can just bring back into our mind's eye, put it around our bodies, put it in our hearts. This infinity wave will quickly and easily restore us to that state of love and compassion, which is automatically a non-judgmental state and a notch above 3D. So that's a kind of summary of what we're up to. And Alan, come on in and let's chat.
Yes, I want to say what you just described is exactly what John Martin does when he plays his guitar and he expands into love and they show up for him. If you have to stick around for his video. That's what we want to do collectively, because we feel if we bring two or more in that field and send out that wave of love, we totally expect these things to show up because they're here, they're in Sedona, they're over Mount Shasta, and it's generating the mind field that will attract that like mind field. So this is where it transcends okay, the government's saying something's there, but they're not saying what or why. Where we as the people of Earth, beyond governments, are saying it is time for us to make contact. That's what we're going for here.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring John up then for a moment since you've talked about him, and we'll show John's video a little bit later. But John, of course, most of our audience knows you by now, but can you share a little bit about just the tips for any of us who are new at this, how to connect to our star family?
I hope I resonated very deeply with what you were saying. And I've found when you share the very best of yourself to the universe, each one of us are so unique. Each life is a fingerprint, really. And the universe has great interest in what we dedicate our lives to. You know, we've lived our lives in this very difficult third dimension, and we're here, every one of us tonight in this particular place, sharing very important news for the world, which is our star family are here. They love us. They care for us. And I make it a daily practice to go out and I play my music outside to our star family. I speak with them when I go outside. I share things that happen in my life, good and bad, and they make beautiful aeroglyphs in the sky out of clouds, which it's just absolutely amazing the levels of connection you can make with our star family. And what I'm really hopeful for is that so many more of us will try, and I can only imagine the magnitude of the entire universe pouring this beautiful energy into our daily challenges. And that's why I do that, Scott.
It's beautiful. Well, I'm wondering if you'd be willing, this is a little different than what I've asked you to do before. I know you have your guitar with you. And if you'd be willing to play guitar, but then maybe either talk to the audience the way you talk to the star family, or go ahead and talk to the star family the way that you do, because you model so beautifully the combination of playing your beautiful music and gently sharing, asking, connecting. And again, it's a beautiful modeling. None of us can play guitar quite like you can, but it's a beautiful modeling of making contact.
Can I suggest one thing, Scott? Maybe when John's playing the guitar and asks, maybe Hope can activate the affinity wave so that music kind of carries us into the infinite.
Does it work that way, Hope?
Would you like me to do that verbally or non-verbally?
No, show us how to do it and we'll do it non-verbally.
Okay. It's very simple and we can all do it right now. And in fact,
I'm going to pin you for a minute. Okay.
Right.
Oh, good. Hi, everyone. It's nice to see you. Okay, so this is really simple. I'm going to show you a picture of the infinity wave, just so you have it in your mind's eye. I have some stickers here, but you see that? Figure eight of flowing water. Really easy. So just use your imagination and think of one end of the loop in your heart, and then you're going to send it out. And by the way, there's no right or wrong way to do this, so don't worry about that. Just as it occurs to you, send that figure eight out and connect with each face on the screen. And just like a couple of breaths per screen as we're hearing the music. All right? And make sure you breathe nicely, and that should do it.
And the love that comes through this music is like the infinity wave. That's why I suggested this, Scott. So
that's a good suggestion. I'm excited.
Okay.
And Scott, this is a very special guitar I'm playing tonight. I sent you a picture. It's friends of mine built this in Spain. It's signed by President Carter, and I can literally feel his beautiful energy when I play too. And this is a piece I've written for you specifically, Scott, because you are just such an important spirit in this world. And Thank you for being who you are.
This is the photo that Sean sent, which I pulled up. So it gives us a chance to see the beautiful guitar that he just played. And let's just have a moment of silence. I'm going to go back to gallery view, and I invite us just all to imagine that infinity wave, that flowing water shaped like an 8 that Hope showed us, and just feeling our hearts connecting with the hearts of everybody in the room, in the Zoom room, connecting with the hearts of those of you watching on Facebook and on YouTube, and flowing with the hearts of all of humanity, and flowing with the hearts with our galactic family up in the sky.
And maybe John can bring in some of his way he talks to the beloveds.
That's a wonderful idea.
I say, hello, beautiful ones. It is such a pleasure to be with you tonight. Every time I see you, it's an honor and a pleasure, my dear friends. Love you very much, and I can feel your love that you send to me as well. And it is always the greatest of pleasures for me to be with you tonight. And if you can, I would so love to see you, and it would be a great honor and pleasure, dear ones. And when they come in, then it's very, you can just feel your entire spirit raise. And I hope that's reflected in the video I've made for you later in the show, Scott.
Thank you, John. Let's all give John a wonderful twinkle. I'm going to go to our other guest who's been patiently waiting. And she's been on the show before as well. And I always am so impressed with this woman. She's extraordinary. And again, tonight's theme is making contact, whether it's with galactic family, deceased ancestors, spiritual teachers. And Hope Fitzgerald has given us that beautiful idea of the infinity wave. And I definitely am going to see what I can do about joining you all in Mount Shasta, Sedona, and we'll go through the dates of that a little bit later on in the show. But I want to bring Geraldine Orozco onto camera here because Geraldine Wow, she's one of the most advanced people I know at helping us learn how to really embrace our multidimensional self, how to work with our multidimensional self. And within that, then making contact with that which is outside of our normal 3D reality. So welcome back to the awakening world, Geraldine.
Thank you so much. Such a joy to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Alan and Scott. Thank you. It's a joy.
Absolutely. What would you like to share? What are some tools, kind of like we got a tool from Hope, we got a tool from John. What are some tools you can offer for how we can kind of extend beyond 3D into our more multidimensional self and make contact with that which is maybe not in 3D reality?
Yes, thank you. Well, I'm an epigenetic psychotherapist, and after my lifelong contactee experience, I began to work with contactees, people that were experiencing many different kinds of contacts, and understanding, the point in which contact meets consciousness and vice versa, or spiritual evolution, how those two worlds meet. And essentially, I resonate very much with what Hope was, both Hope and John were sharing, because in my work with working with contactees on a daily basis, we're finding that ET contact is very much something that is encoded in our DNA. It's very much in our entire essence, in the core of what we are. And literally, it is something that's passed down through many generations. And we are somehow activating that memory of this experiences, of our connection to the stars, many galactic groups that are ancestrally. Our ancestors are not just Earth ancestors. We have galactic, interdimensional ancestors, which are we are descendants of many star systems. Essentially, the human race is very much a hybridized race. So in my participation of sharing what I think would be something beautiful for contact, what I see is that not only are we activating the memory in the body, but if you understand how our body functions as a bioelectrical system, our emotional system is bioelectrical. When we access a high conductivity in our physical body, which means that we know how to manage our emotions from a low emotion using alchemy to transmute it into a very high vibration emotion, we actually create a lot of trigger reactions in the body that are both biochemical, bioelectrical, and it's epigenetic. And what happens is that the memory begins to activate. We begin to restore the memory of who we are during our lifetime, past lifetimes, and then of course interdimensionally. And when I share these different things that look like past and different timelines of another time, in reality, they're very much simultaneous. And what's actually happening is that our body is shaping into geometric forms. Our entire body moves light in different ways based on how we are working with our chakra system, okay, our energy systems in our body. So depending on how we are processing emotional energy, the infinite life force, the infinite potential that animates this life into its moving life of co-creation, we actually begin to activate that memory. And that is where we begin to have the ability to recover what star seeds origins we come from, and we begin to have a lot of contact. And I do believe that contact is very much an inside job. We are taking on the geometric form that allows us to come into resonance with the dimensional planes and the groups, the dimensional groups that are encoded in our DNA that we interact with. And those of us that are moving into higher vibration, that's why changing our emotional state is absolutely key to ET contact and sustaining ET contact, and also attracting contact that is on a high vibrational experience rather than a lower. These are things that we master, and they've been taught for many, many, many generations. All our ancestors have known that when you maintain a high vibration, you can communicate and channel information that's necessary to heal yourself and also your ancestral lineage terrestrially and interdimensionally. So I'll stop right there because I don't know how much time and,
Whoops. What you're saying is fascinating, and we certainly have time, and we're going to do a lot of Q&A, I want to read to you something that Tiara wrote and get your feedback on it. Tiara writes, I've been sharing for a while that someday soon we'll be able to do testing to see how much of our star ancestry resides in our current form, almost like a DNA test. So I'd love your feedback on that. And also just want to acknowledge a friend of yours who's in the audience, George Noble, writes, after being on a recent event with Geraldine, I walked outside to find a huge lenticular cloud and felt supercharged with energy, just as she had been speaking of the Pleiadians.
Wow.
So any thoughts or comments you've got on either what Tiara or George shared in the chat box?
Yeah, absolutely. Both are completely resonant. Yeah, George, great to see you. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that we all hold a larger imprint of certain star lineages that ancient history. I do think that, you know, this world is kind of self-organizing intelligence through an archetypal form. So every species that we resonate with, for example, the Pleiadians, they all have a high vibrational wisdom, libraries of information. And, you know, we can use that for our life path. We can use it to transmute ancient karmic limitations that we might be having in this lifetime, alchemize them in order to be able to co-create on a much more powerful, loving manner, essentially. And also, I do believe that the science on DNA is definitely becoming much more advanced now that we're understanding that it's very much a bioelectrical network of memory. And that is really what our DNA is. The morphogenetic field, which is what we know as the aura, is essentially all of the different bodies that are allowing us to connect to these dimensional planes. And people that are learning how to unfold themselves in dream state in order to access contact and communicate with these beings, or at least practicing lucidity to be able to recall the memories that they are having in these dream states, it really allows them to use those messages for their life, for their mission, you know, their purpose. And we have many purposes. But a human can refine their healing art, the gift that they have to offer the world, by unlocking some of these memories that are more interdimensional for them. So, you know, this is definitely time, as Alan was saying earlier. It's, you know, the time is for disclosure. The disclosure starts with the people, because within this connection to very advanced civilizations is a future which we're familiar with. It's the self-regenerative technologies that lie within our own bodies. It's the recovering of the memory of those things. It's free energy technologies, you know, all of these very advanced models of civilizations which we can learn from these higher dimensional beings are accessible through us, the contactees. And that's everyone, not just me. Every single person has that ability. So it's really important to connect to your lineage of information so that you can bring that puzzle piece into this collective timeline.
Wow. What are some of the ways that people can tap into their lineage and learn more about what it is? And of course, working with you is a wonderful way to do that, which I would highly suggest. And are there other tips and tools you can provide for that?
Yes, well, meditation is an absolute, the cultivation of the mind, the silencing and the learning to control the emotions from a place of imbalance into a place of self-regulation is absolutely key, because this is how you learn to master the way that you're moving your energy through your body. And essentially, when you come into the alchemy of the heart center, when you expand your heart, your vortex begins to spin much faster, and you become a Merkaba, you become an orb, you become a light that begins to travel interdimensionally, just like other beings are visiting us from other dimensions. They take on the orb shape with many different geometric forms. So humans have that capacity as well. And so we have to learn how to develop that. We also can communicate telepathically and remote view. And these are really basic basic tools that are going to be part of the new survival kit, essentially, of the new human race, which we're coming into at this time. So the tools for that is, of course, the cultivation, silencing of the monkey mind that always wants to put us in states of survival and fear, old model of existing, into love, connection, absolute authenticity, the ability to connect in a way that is fearless. All of that is a very vibrational state that allows you to connect to the network of intercommunication. So there's a lot of little steps that we're going to need to learn how to cultivate authenticity, understand what is truth, because we have many layers of things that we are hiding even from ourselves. And those are kind of magnified, and they are also mirrored in these kinds of experiences. So we have to keep that in mind, that it's a very interconnected system of experience. So as we cultivate learning what is unconditional love, truly mind, body, and soul, bioelectrically, these systems begin to connect inside the body. We become more conducive, which allows us to recall our dreams. Okay, so practicing lucidity in waking state allows you to practice lucidity in dream state. And the more lucid you are in dream state, the more you can apply your free will of co-creation. So those are kind of some steps that are important. And of course, for that is grounding, come into your body. That's a lot of wonderful work that you can do there.
Beautiful. Well, we're going to have much more of Geraldine just in a few minutes. I know Hope needs to go because she's going to be celebrating her birthday with her beloved husband, and they're going away on a trip tomorrow. And she's got to pack, and she's on East Coast time. So, Hope, I wanted to give you a chance to share any kind of last thoughts before you shift from the awakening world into Hope birthday time.
Well, thank you, Scott. And I think what I'm going to do is just take myself off camera and listen to the rest of the show as I pack my suitcase so I don't miss anything, because it's so great. And I really loved your music, John, and would love to stay in contact. And Geraldine, I'm loving what you're saying. And, the ability to stay in that higher state above the emotions, that's a big piece of why the infinity wave is here, that it is to regulate us and to cause a state change in our emotional. So if we're upset or whatever it is, when we start to do the wave, we just calm right down. And so that you're encouraging me even more that my hypothesis might turn out to be, true, that if we use that out in the desert and out in the rocks and whatever, we will generate, some contact. And John, what you said as well, your presence is so sweet and loving and just beautiful. And I remember hearing Chris Bledsoe say that emotions play a role, the higher emotions play a role in this contact. And I think you really demonstrated that beautifully tonight. So, and then you explained it, Geraldine. So, wow, what a great show.
Right. Hey, Hope and I were chatting back and forth, John, and we want to see if you want to join us somehow in Sedona, April 30th to May 4th with that, because just having you there, they're bound to show up.
No, it may even be a possibility. Alan, a very wonderful thing occurred, and so we'll talk. Absolutely.
Okay, let's talk. I think I have your number, and I'll get Hope in on the call. And Scott, before Hope goes, or maybe after I have the video of what's happening there.
Yeah, so here's what I'd like to do. I'm going to put the spotlight on Hope one more time, because I want us to do a little birthday thing for her.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. And then we're going to go to Omar Shar for a song, and then we'll come back to Alan for his next video. But I am going to pin you, Hope, for a minute here, because there is a tradition in Global Peace Tribe, which is when it's somebody's birthday, we're going to ask you to share with us what you want to experience during this next cycle around the sun. during the next year. And we're all going to hold that vision for you because we are all powerful manifestors. And when you have multiple people holding a vision for you, it helps make it come true. So would you be willing to share with us at least some of the things or something that you would like to manifest and experience between now and a year from now?
Wow, that's quite something. Thank you. Well, I definitely want to make contact, preferably more than once. I have had one experience and I would like to have more. And I would like to share that with others. The other thing that I would really love is within the next year. Well, it's just very simple. I want to reach more people with the infinity wave. I want to pass that along to as many people as possible. So those are two very simple things, and I'd be very grateful if they came true a year from now.
All right, so everybody, let's take a minute of silence, sending in our own unique way maximum grace for Hope to have a profound and beautiful shared contact experience, and for her infinity wave to get out and reach more and more and more people.
Oh, that's so nice. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. This is beautiful.
Thank you. Happy birthday, dear one.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I feel like I've already had my party. What else do I need?
Well, you deserve it, Hope.
Thank you very much.
All right. We're going to go to Omashar.
Hey, beloveds. Thank you so much, Hope. And also, thank you, Geraldine. What you have been saying really clarifies some things that I need in my life, especially about emotional stability and not letting my monkey mind press an emotional button and take me off the center. And just before I go into this song, and the song is called Spiral Through the Stars, and anybody who's dancing, it's improv, not rock and roll. I used to live in northern New Mexico above Taos in the high mountain desert. And there were certain times in the year when I'd go out into the sagebrush. It was just sagebrush and coyotes, pretty much, and these diving birds. There used to be scores of lenticular clouds that would come, and they'd all go off in a direction towards something called Ute Mountain, UTE, where the Ute indigenous Native American tribe used to live and hang out. And there would be dozens of them, lenticular clouds, and they came across, and I'd feel so enlivened, and I'm fully aware that lenticular clouds can be embodied by beings and by craft. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that because for me, it's very real. I can't say I've seen any real spacecraft. I've seen many orbs, but I am very aware and have seen dozens of times over many years the lenticular clouds climbing up through northern New Mexico, and I'm sure many other places on the planet. So anyway, this is called Spiral Through the Stars, hence the background. And changing mic source. Here we go.
This tale I tell, it has no ending. I'd like you to know we are all on an incredible journey, a traveling show. I I've been looking at you in your homelands, watching you grow, weaving light into creation, a heavenly glow. I have been inside you for so long, I will be with you forever. Come with me, let's spiral through the stars. A part of you has always remembered since the beginning of time. Through your hearts you felt my presence, a knowing sublime. I've been guiding you beyond your perception, forever your friend. Take some time and get to know me, I'll welcome you home. I'll welcome you home. I have been inside you for so long, I will be with you forever. Come with me, let's spiral through the stars. We have been inside you for so long, we will be with you forever. We'll come with you and spiral through the stars.
What a beautiful, beautiful song. Wow. And that, as Don Drake pointed out, the piano work, the motif, absolutely gorgeous. Wow.
You know, that song was initially inspired by a graphic that Barbara Mux Hubbard used to use. And on the front of her magazines and posters, there was a picture of an Earth, and it was spiraling through the universe. And at that time, I was traveling around the world a crazy amount of times. And so I was really in a really good open space, and it literally channeled itself. I started just banging the keyboards and these amazing chord structures came through. And I thought, I'm going to just continue this, and fumbled through it until I could transcribe it. And it came out like this. So it's
absolutely beautiful. Really, really beautiful.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we're going to go to Alan, who's going to show some video. And then we're going to take questions and answers for Geraldine or Alan or John. Then we're going to watch John's video and then close with an Omashar song. But Alan, I'm turning it over to you, buddy.
I just want to ask Omashar, what was the name of that song?
It's called Spiral Through the Stars. And just so you know, these are all my songs tonight. And yes, and it was a time also not just of me being introduced and actually working once with Barbara Mux Hubbard back in the day, obviously, but I was just getting in touch with my star origins and the knowledge that we're all the tips of these stars. And I was being taught at that moment, all I needed to do is turn your whole being around and face the star you came from to get the information. And so in a nutshell, that's not at all what you asked.
Well, I love that. I'd love to put it to video, do something with that song. So
I would love that. Thank you so much.
Jennifer wrote absolutely stunning on Mashar. I was just transported. Susan Woolridge writes, that song brought me to tears, dearest Mashar. Geraldine and many others, Scotty and many others are really appreciating that song. It touched us deeply, my friend.
Thank you.
You know, I would even like it to be the theme song from Making Contact. You know, it's like,
wow.
Dude, you're it's yes.
We'll talk about that. Okay.
Oh yes.
Right. Because it just was. It was like an instant hit. You know, like the first time you heard the Beatles, you know they were going to be big. You know, it's like that. Well, yeah, I'm going to show this video of the upcoming retreat, but I just want to say about what Geraldine was talking about. It is about soul expansion, all these gifts coming online. It's about us embodying more of creation, right, Geraldine?
100%. And that's, I think, also what you talk about in your book too. I mean, you touch on the fact that our senses are multidimensional. Contact is multidimensional. We're expanding our senses from just the idea that we can only see things to perceive things to the many senses that we need to use moving forward.
Exactly. And your work is touching on accessing those other senses.
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
And what John and Hope were talking about, this expansion, that's our basic sense, this feeling, because we need that to be the humans we're supposed to be, in my opinion.
That's right.
Well, thanks so much for being here. I'm going to show this little video. Maybe you'll join us in Sedona, Geraldine. Okay, this is a video I put together, Scott. Some of what is based on my book, but this is a little promo for the Sedona retreat that is just kind of fun.
From deep, deep in outer space to planet Earth, to the red rocks of Sedona, comes a time, an event, a place, a message of making contact.
There's no better time for making contact. This is most needed at this time because making contact presents the opportunity for us to prepare to meet advanced civilizations.
Thanks, George, for the introduction. I'm Alan Steinfeld, the author of Making Contact, and along with Hope Fitzgerald, the creator of the Infinity Wave, we are inviting you to join us on a sacred journey to the enchanted land of Sedona. These beautiful red rocks will create the background for us to tap into the infinite self as well as the cosmic others. April 30th to May 4th, this Sedona retreat is designed to be on the land. We'll come together to exchange stories, raise our frequencies, and call in our star family awaiting our invitation. We'll also be guided to these vortexes through meditations with Peter Sterling and his beautiful harp music. Come and join us and be part of humanity's rising. Register at spreadinfinitehope.com/Sedona. See you there. Thank you. George, any final comments?
Someday, somehow in the future, the conflicts that have plagued our species for eons will come to an end. And by making contact, we will take our rightful place among the stars.
Okay.
Fun
Thanks.
video, Alan. That's really fun. Is there a website, a link where people can go to get more information and register and all that?
Yeah, I'm going to put that in the chat, but it's Spread Infinite Hope /Sedona, but also the Shasta retreats on there. But I'm going to put all that in the website. I'm glad you like the video. It's nice to get an assist from George Norrie.
Yes, it is.
He read the forward to my book, and so, or he wrote the forward and read it. And so I took clips of that forward and put it into this video. So I'm going to put that in there, and I invite everyone to join me and Hope, and who knows, maybe John Martin live there in Sedona somewhere.
I'm going to bring up our presenters, and this is a good time now for if there's any questions that anybody has. And there actually was a question. I was tracking what's going on Facebook. And there's a question that came in for you, Geraldine. Wondering, this is somebody who apparently has had both negative experiences with ET and also is longing for positive experiences. And I think it's a woman. It sounds like she wants to know how to resolve, why did she have such a traumatic experience? And how can she resolve that and make it safe to have a more positive experience?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we need to dispel as experiencing the human experience temporarily is that, there's always going to be positive and negative to all kinds of experiences that we have. In every form that we take, there's always there's a bit of that contrast, at least in these dimensions that we're exploring at this time. So it's important to understand that because, we've made many conscious and unconscious agreements in many lives. And remember, lives are not something that are in the past. They are happening now. They are simultaneous to this timeline. So the question is, taking a look at what are your blockages now? The emotional patterns that you're repeating from your current ancestral lineage are going to be reflected somehow in the way that we are interacting. We tie up in our ancestral history, our connections, our agreements that we've made with many star systems. And in this lifetime, we're uncovering them. And a lot of the new starseed children that are being born, their karma, as we know, karma simply means cause and effect. So the way that they experience their life will be actually even more focused on the interstellar karmic expansion of their life. We are clearing up this ancestral history, together. Every human clears up ancestral, has the opportunity, the invitation that through their healing work, through their trauma work, their emotional healing, we can open up and activate our level of conductivity, bioelectricity, to recover the memory of everything that we are. So as we integrate negative experiences in this terrestrial life, emotional blockages, we can expand and open up that memory, and that will allow you to have a bit more free will. So number one key, learn to master your emotional state, because sometimes we actually encounter really high vibrational experiences, but because we're not prepared emotionally, we're very fearful of the unknown. We end up becoming traumatized by experiences. And sometimes they're not always actually designed to be, terrifying. Later, when you go through hypnosis, you begin to recover the memory, and then you really understand what you were doing there. And it takes time, because right now, remember that our mind is really heavily conditioned right now. We're indoctrinated with belief systems of the matrix, limiting belief systems about ourselves, about the world around us. All of that has to dissolve in order for us to be able to conceptualize much larger concepts, unity concepts. The language that these beings are speaking are way more expansive. So we have to prepare ourselves emotionally to expand the range of perception and understanding as we enter these worlds, these unknown worlds, unknown levels of understanding and seeing ourselves as humans, as multidimensional humans. So never fear. There is never anything to fear. The only thing to fear is the fear that we haven't conquered within ourselves. That's the thing that we have to address head on. And the invitation of this time is to take time to do that. You can alchemize in any experience, even if it's negative, by pausing, and from that 0 point, the neutral 0 point of non-judgmental is where you begin to alchemize all experiences, and you can choose and shift the timeline in how you're engaging with those beings. That is not only proven from my own personal experiences, many experiences, but working with people one-on-one, teaching them to alchemize within their contact by becoming lucid and then shifting the experience. It is so we have a lot of power to co-create. We're creators and we're creating. So we have to take responsibility for what we're creating, basically. Okay. I hope that's understandable.
Well, it's really interesting. I've got a thought and then a question. You know, the last time we did a Making Contact show, we had Whitley Strieber on, and he was, and that's been his journey. You know, of course, he wrote the book Communion, and initially his experience was very frightening, but over the decades, it's evolved into his understanding that it's a much more profound, long-term spiritual journey that he's been on with, he calls them the visitors. So wanting to find that balance, because if someone has trauma, we want to have compassion and empathy for the trauma. We don't want to enable ongoing victim story. We also want to have empathy for the trauma. So how do you suggest the balance of that?
Exactly. All human experiences start with how we have integrated our trauma. Okay, even our everyday life. Our everyday life is going to be very traumatic as well if we don't work on our trauma, on our because trauma are very powerful belief systems. And, you know, at the time of the trauma, there's a split between ourselves. It's a disassociation within ourselves. So those splits have to be reintegrated. Every time that we experience something that is unknown to us, we don't know how to respond. In the library of memory, we can't pull from there to know how to respond to an experience. The disassociation happens. So how do you fix that? Is that you reintegrate that aspect of yourself by broadening the perception of that part of you into a broader perception. For that, you need to put yourself in other people's shoes. You need to understand their perception. Again, from that 0 point, the neutral 0 point of non-judgment, in which you are able to expand your compassion beyond just your limiting perception. That is the alchemy. That's the true alchemy. And that is the love, because from there you begin to understand love, what it means to embody the true unconditional love, in which you can see yourself, your errors, your limitations, your fears, and still embrace yourself fully. That is not just an emotional state. It changes biochemically, bioelectrically, which is the most important for ET contact, is your bioelectrical, which is rooted in emotions. That allows you to shift the expansion of your field, move at a faster rate, spinning faster. And this implosion that occurs within you is what allows you to unite with all things. You become one. You're expanding your understanding into that oneness. So that is essentially the alchemy. And the body begins to take on different geometric forms as a result of how you are expanding the way you move light through your body. So energy, life force, creative life force, that's through your emotions. You are choosing how to use that energy through your body. So one last thing, every single trauma is like a little point. It's a little block, a crystallized system of energy in your body. As you begin to unravel that, you can open up your space, which allows you to see more clearly things. Therefore, you don't have filters, because a lot of trauma occurs because we have very strong filters of perceptions that don't really let us see things as they are. And there are many levels of understanding for things that we have to evolve. As a human race, we're very young. We're still very immature. We need to advance in our spiritual maturity, in our way to expand our compassion for ourselves and others. So, yeah.
In my coaching work, Geraldine, I call those veils of past pain. Mm-hmm. And when I work with clients, it's like, okay, let's identify What are the veils of past pain that come down that get in the way of us seeing another person or situation clearly?
Exactly. Stay in contact. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to go to your website because what I had on file for you was bayareameditation.com. But when I'm going there, it's taking me to a very strange place that I do not think is Geraldine Orozco. So could you put your
that was my old website. We changed to Geraldine Orozco now because we're kind of a little more international than Bay Area. So it's under my name now, GeraldineOrozco.com. Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm sneezing. All right, I will put that in the website and we'll go through in a little bit.
Thank you. Put it
Alan, there's a question that came in from Facebook for you. And that is, as you are so connected to the disclosure movement, what's happening with Trump and disclosure?
Well, that's a good question. Of course, Trump, you know, he says things and he said a lot of things. I think he put some great people in place. Tulsi Gabbard wants the truth. There's a bunch of other people. I know Paulina Luna, who was on the congressional committee, Nancy Mace. It's actually a bipartisan effort. Even Chuck Schumer. They're trying to fight the Pentagon in a sense. The Democrats and Republicans have come together because they know they're being lied to by those in charge. So Trump, I think, is trying, or he says he is, to get to open transparency. He said he would solve the drone problem or address it. He really didn't. He went and talked to someone inside, I don't know, the Air Force or something. He said, what's going on with those drones? They said, oh, it's just military. I mean, it didn't address the question. And actually 60 Minutes just did a whole thing last weekend about how the drone question in New Jersey at Langley Air Force Base has not been addressed. You know, these objects flying over restricted military base, and no one is shooting them down. There's something wrong with that picture. Either they're UFOs and the government doesn't want to say it, or I don't think they're ours, but because they flare up and they go into plasma fields. So I think we're on for a full-on, I wouldn't call it an invasion, but arrival. It seems like it's happening around the planet, and the media is not connecting the dots. So I think Trump, or at least some of the people in charge that he's put, are trying to get to transparency. I think Marco Rubio, like we saw in that video, knows the truth, that we're not alone in the universe. So we'll see, but it comes back to the people. It comes back to why we're doing the show with Geraldine and Hope and John and all of us. When we stand up as a citizens movements, like they did for women's rights, Black rights, gay rights, all these right at the end of the Vietnam War, these started with people, not government. The same thing has to happen. I think Danny Sheehan, who we all know, should lead a march on Washington, get all the people there, stand in front of the Lincoln Memorial and demand freedom, and gather 100,000 people who are interested in this topic. That's my vision. So who knows? It's not about politics. Politicians are always being lied to by the military, who's covering up, because I think my theory and other people that these corporations, Rayon, what are some of those other ones that Grumman, Lockheed Grumman, they're doing reverse engineering on these crash retrievals and making money, and that money I think actually belongs to the American people. So there's a lot of, it's all about money. Who cares about aliens really? If they just want, the people in control want to control and dominate the narrative. So you get a movie like The Age of Disclosure. We'll see how much that does. But there is a people's movement arising. That's why I'm so happy we're doing these Making Contact shows, because the more people are aware that we're not alone in the universe, they're going to say, hey, how come no one's told us this? So I don't know if that answers the question.
There's another question that came in again from the Facebook people asking, apparently there's concern about there being a false flag operation. And
that's something I think Stephen Greer put out there.
Was promoting that.
And maybe I don't get that that's true because there's been so much denial on the government. There's no hint that they're going to say that, oh, we're being invaded. I don't go with that scenario. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they rather play ignorant than the fear factor. So they rather just say, oh, we don't know what's going on. And that way they're safe. The government, at least the ones controlling the narrative.
And last question for right now. I know you're very close to Daryl Anka. Many of us love Bashar. What's the latest that Bashar has had to say about all of this?
That's good. I think I played that last time. He says within 5 years, including this year, from 2025 to 2030, we are going to have open contact. And he says that's a very, very high percentage. And the first beings that will show up, the ones that look more like us, the Nordics, and then we'll get stranger and stranger beings. I think he just said this last weekend at the Sedona Ascension Retreat, but he said it over. That's his message. He says he's an ET, and he says he's a first contact specialist, and he says the time that he spent the last 40 years priming the world's citizenry, it's happening now. We are ready for full-on contact within 5 years. So keep looking up.
Beautiful. I do want to show people Geraldine's website for those of you watching on Facebook or YouTube. It's her name. And she spells it Geraldine, Geraldine. And her last name is Orozco, Orozco. So if you go to GeraldineOrozco.com, definitely give her your name and email address. And this is where you can learn more about the wonderful work she's doing. And she does provide courses. And are you doing private coaching, Geraldine?
Yes, absolutely. Hypnotherapy and regression therapy for contactees, and also DNA reprogramming.
Wow. So now tell us, what is DNA reprogramming? What's that?
Yeah, so basically it's like guiding through really deep shadow work. So for those of you that are feeling stuck in your deep, deep shadow work and need some support and guidance to move out of those blocked parts and where, we find ourselves sometimes in our spiritual evolution, I will guide you through that. I also teach how to do very advanced energy work, energy cultivation, energy protection. I teach several courses on that. And my YouTube, of course, I have lots of free content in there. You guys can learn all of those modalities on my YouTube as well at Geraldine Orozco. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Geraldine. If you can, stick around for a few moments. We're going to take a look at a video that John Martin put together just for tonight. I really invite everybody, as we watch the video, to drop into the frequency of love that John creates. He really creates a sacred container. Sometimes he's playing guitar, he's talking to his friends. I always like to say when I'm watching John's videos, let's learn how to talk to each other the way that John talks to our galactic family. Anyway, it's a beautiful video. Put your cameras put your full screen on so you can see the little dots moving around, which are the ships that he captures. And John puts a lot of effort into filming these and then editing and getting the very best ones and putting them together for us. So a big thank you to John. And then, of course, after we watch this, we're going to chat with John and any last questions people have for Alan, Geraldine, and then, of course, Anom Mashar's song. Here we go.
Hey, beautiful ones. Hey, my gorgeous friends. Thank you for coming to see me. Hey, beautiful ones. I was asking what your name was. Thank you, sweet friends. Love you. Thank you, friends. Wow. Wow.
Oh, there's my friends. Oh, there's two. That's it. Oh, how gorgeous. Wow. Gorgeous. So awesome, friends. Beautifully done. Wow, that was great. Thank you, sweet friends.
Hey, friends.
Thank you, my friends.
Beautifully done. Matilda, don't pull on me now.
Beautiful.
Hey, friends. Oh, my gracious. Beautiful.
Hey, dear friends.
Oh,
Hey,
my
gorgeous
lovely
ones.
family are here.
You're so wonderful.
Hey, friends.
Thank you, sweet friends.
Hey, beautiful ones.
Thank you, beautiful ones.
Oh, gracious. There you are. Lovely.
Thank you.
Hey! My beautiful family are here.
Thank you, gorgeous
So
ones.
beautifully done, friends.
Thank you, my dear
Wow.
friends. So
Gorgeous.
beautiful. Have a lovely night. Thank you.
Hey, sweet friends. Wow. That's a double. How absolutely beautiful. Hey, friends. Hey, beautiful ones. Thank you for coming to see me tonight. It is a great honor, dear friend. Wow.
That's amazing.
I've never seen that.
That's wonderful. Thank you, friends.
That is gorgeous. Hey,
Wonderful.
friends.
Thank you, my friends.
Beautiful.
That's just great.
Hey, lovely ones.
Thank you, lovely friends.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Wow.
Wow.
Thank you, beautiful ones.
Absolutely beautiful.
Put the over
Thank
there.
you, sweet friends. Thanks for
Thank
coming
you,
to see me
beautiful
tonight.
friends.
Hope you're all
Thank
doing
you.
well.
That was awesome. That was really awesome.
So
Thank you.
appreciate your beautiful energies, dear one. Thank you. That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. Wow. Gorgeous, friends. Wow. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, my sweet friends. Love y'all.
It's never random, is it, friends? Wow. That's the greatest thing you've ever seen. Wow, friends. Hey, beautiful one. Hey, my sweet friends. Oh, how lovely. Thank you. Thanks for coming to see me, dear friends. Look, so wonderful. Thank you, beautiful one. Oh, my gracious. Hey there. So wonderful to see you tonight. Thank you, beautiful one. Absolutely gorgeous. Thank you. Hey there.
Wow. Thank you, friend. Oh, how beautiful. Thank you, gorgeous ones.
With the universe, and that's what happens is you're just naturally aligned with something that's so inspiring, and so beautiful, and so important, and so loving and giving.
Oh, it's so beautiful, John. Just so beautiful. And that book, by the way, a reminder that John's wonderful book, The Universe Loves You. The universe certainly loves John because he loves the universe. You can get that book on Amazon. And I highly recommend it. Go ahead.
You know, Scott, if we had a group of people with everyone putting out that energy of love, because it's not just seeing it. I think even more amazing is feeling it, John. The universe responds to our emotion. It's reflection of who we are. Everything is. That's why those people wanting to make weapons, they're not making the contact people like John are, because the vibration of these beings is one of a higher elevation. Last time I showed that clip from Jacob Barber. You remember him? Remember that one?
Yeah.
I could show it again later if you want, but it's that feeling that is making us more human, right, Geraldine? And more connected to the cosmos. That's it, John. You got the formula.
As Eleanor Joy writes, John, you rock my galactic starboat. Hey, there's a question that comes in, two questions. One I can answer. The spring equinox is at 8:01 a.m. Pacific time, 5 a.m. tomorrow Eastern. 5 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. is the exact moment of the equinox. So it's a good time to be meditating, everybody. A little easier for us on the West Coast. There's a question from Susan Blomquist wanting to know a question about the planets. In their state now, she says they seem much brighter and even interactive. How are planets part of the non-human experience? Either of you, anybody have a...
How are planets part of the non-human experience? I'm not sure I understand. They are. It's all part of the human and non-human experience. I think we're not limited to our human perceptions. We are the cosmos. So those planets, I mean, astrology says that, are interacting all the time with consciousness. I mean, that's my answer. What do you say?
When I go outside, I make this a daily practice, and so I've made a point to learn the constellations, to understand where the planets are, and I'll have a constellation of intention, like I'll do Cygnus, and then I'll concentrate on Deneb within Cygnus. You can see Jupiter is directly overhead right now. Mars has Pollux and Castor right next to it, and so, and the Pleiades is such a favorite of mine because you can just barely see it. But when you concentrate directly on Pleiades, the energy just starts flooding you from there. And so I would project who you are, project what you love, share yourself with the universe, and then concentrate on a particular frequency, like the frequency of the Pleiades or Orion. The belt is very clear to see. And as a guitarist, with students, I just have elementary ideas to begin with. So begin with learning the sky, learning all the different areas and how the earth moves within this larger framework. and it's just fascinating. The more you do it, I mean, it changes your frequency, your energy when you're out there, because you're more of a universal being as opposed to being kind of closed in. We've spent so much of our lives indoors, but when you're outside, you're much more like the indigenous peoples over, millennia. And to me, that is a key aspect of truly making contact.
Yeah.
That's beautiful advice. I've always been somebody that no matter what I won't even think about it, I look over the side, right away I see the Pleiades. I mean, for 25 years it's been like that. And you're right, you can always see it if there's, if you can see stars, you can usually see the Pleiades, but you gotta, it's not as vibrant as Orion's belt. Do any of you know anything about the idea that all the planets are transforming, that something about the photon belt and the galactic equator? Do any of you have any knowledge or information about that?
Well, I feel like everyone might be feeling it too. The Earth is vibrating faster. Our bodies, these Earth bodies, are accelerating. And some people say that is not just an Earth phenomenon, it's a galactic phenomenon, or at least a solar. So there's something happening for sure, and it may be affecting our whole local solar system.
Wow.
Yeah. I can also add to that remember that the nature of this universe is fractal. Okay, so you are literally a fractal of the universe. And by that, every single one of your chakras is connected to the different planets in our planetary system. Imagine that the solar system is you are a fractal of the solar system. Each one of those planets are connected to each chakra. And they will affect how you feel every time that there are major transitions, cosmic movements, changes, and solar flare energy. Very much is connected to our DNA as well, and how we are feeling and experiencing, because we're energy beings. It also has to do with your astrological sign, by the way, the time when whenever you were born. Universal astrology will dictate which of these planets you need to learn, because each of the planets is like a being of consciousness themselves. They are also evolving in the same way that we are evolving. So as there are major transitions and cosmic planets that are moving, we're feeling those evolutionary themes through our own subconscious mind and collectively as the human race. So that's why sometimes it's helpful to look at the astrology to understand what are the challenges collectively that we're experiencing at the time. And a lot of people have been really picking that energy up over the past actually couple of years, in terms of how we connect to our higher self, how easy it is for us to connect or how difficult it is to connect. Heart energy, how we are using our heart, the amount of solar flares that there have been has affected that. Heart conditions. We are so intimately connected to the planets. And as I mentioned, it's in our DNA. As a child, I was praying to the Pleiadian constellation without even understanding the name of it. So you need to see what you are attracted to. What are you mostly connected to recall that memory? So there's a lot, and we also can transcend the limitations of these planets, because each planet has been studied for many centuries and cycles of life. So we can transcend the limitations, and that's an invitation that we can all encounter in meditation.
Thank you. So I'm going to read some of the comments coming in, and Geraldine, maybe you may want to comment on some of these. George points out that our entire solar system zigzags back and forth through the photon belt every 26,000 years. And the Mayans taught us that they learned that from the Pleiadians and the Syrians. Tiara points out that in shamanic astrology, it's believed that we inform the planets as much as they inform us. That's interesting. Our beloved Connie writes that the Earth is rising in frequency, calling us forth into higher vibratory levels via alignment with our hearts in absolute trust in a conscious, loving universe. Susan Bloomquist writes, there is consciousness there. Adora writes, that there are entire summits happening about what's going on celestially. And Susan S. writes, outer planets are moving to 0 point and shifting from water and earth to fire and air affecting the collective consciousness. And Hope has something to add to this question. So Hope is returning. We have more Hope coming into our Zoom room here. Welcome back, Hope.
Thank you. I have packed my bag and I've been listening and it's been fantastic. But yes, I do have something to add to this particular question. And it is this. I'm just going to see if my light can come on here. Back in I guess it was 2012, I happened to see a broadcast from a CNN interview that had happened a year and a half earlier. And what it was a man being interviewed named Paul Laviolette, and you may have heard of him. He was at the time considered to be the expert on deep space. And he was talking about a galactic burst, like a bubble, like a burp almost from galactic center. And that what was happening was it was rippling out in all directions. He showed an image of it. And the image, I kid you not, was an 8. It was a purple bubble with the galaxy on its side with a purple bubble at the bottom. So it looked like this big purple 8 with little lights in the middle. And he was explaining how this microwave blast was vibrating throughout the galaxy, and that this has happened a number of times on our planet, and that when you look through the ice cores, they have been able to identify places where evolution made a leap. And one of the examples is we went from having animals, whatever, had ectoskeletons, and suddenly they had endoskeletons, but there was no in between. There was no evolutionary step in between. So he was saying that this galactic heat wave was turning yellow suns into red giants and red giants into brown dwarfs as it was rippling through the galaxy. And we are living way, way out on the edges. So we had not yet begun to receive the little waves. But now we know that, like when we were growing up, the planets were very calm and there wasn't a lot going on. But in the last 10, 15, 20 years even, there is weather happening on the planets. They're a lot more tumultuous than they used to be. And the sun is going through its own kind of thing. Now, it's very hard to find that they've taken that little interview away. They've scrubbed it off the internet because I've tried to find it. But in essence, it means that everything is evolving. The entire galaxy is evolving. And we're just sort of on the outer fringe of that. So that's what I can add to that question.
That's a fantastic add-on. Thank you so much. Geraldine, Alan, John,
if we have time, if you want to, Scott, we could show that moment with this military guy trying to pick up this down UFO, has this epiphany of love. He sounds like John, but John's there all the time. This guy, and this is where the world is coming to. The UFOs are just here to remind us of who we are. John Mack, the psychiatrist from Harvard, said UFOs are an outreach program from the universe for the consciously impaired. That's us, the consciously impaired. So anyway, that's just one thing we could share. But
if you've got it queued up, we do need to wrap up. But yeah, go ahead and show it, Alan.
And I only show you because this guy, when he's talking and dropped into that place, his tone sounds like John and Hope and all the hope we have here. This is Jacob Barber. He's a former military guy. He was charged with going and picking up a craft. And when he did, something happened to
This
him.
is one of the most profound experiences I've ever had in my life I'm about to share with you, so bear with me. So as I get closer to this pick site, I start feeling odd. I start feeling extremely emotional. And the closer I get, the more the emotion starts to overwhelm me. I feel this intense hybrid of sadness and happiness and beauty and song. And it was very disruptive to me because I had a very practical responsibility at the time to operate a helicopter in the mountains at night. And I began wondering what was wrong with me. It was late. I'm like, am I just stressed? Am I tired? I don't know. But as I came over this object for the pick, it was this overwhelming sense of emotion. I felt like something connected with me. I felt like something had tuned in to me and my soul and was providing me some sense of guidance on what to do and how profound what I was doing was. And it was so overwhelming that I began to cry. And then I'm confused as to why I'm crying at the same time. And then do I abort the mission? So I just did my best to focus on my particular cues when doing this type of work. And I got the load hooked up and I began flying away. And once it was just me and that object in between the pick and the drop site, there was about 20 miles in between, I felt like something was inside of me. I felt like I was possessed by the most beautiful spirit I'd ever been possessed by. And
was it loving?
It was loving. But there was a sense of sadness at the same time. And no, it was a very feminine energy, I'll tell you that. It felt like the spirit of God, but not in any masculine sense. And it wasn't like a soul, it was like a frequency that I was connected with. And whatever that force was since that night, it has stayed with me. And as crazy as this sounds, it's what's guiding me now. And it's what's providing protection for me.
It's changed your life.
It's changed my life.
Wow, that is just, I mean, a military guy on national television breaking down because he had this divine experience. I'm curious, John, what do you think of that? What happened?
I resonate with that so much. Alan, I had dinner with President Carter in Spain, and we talked about UFOs, and I went out on my deck and started playing guitar and projecting into the universe. And after 2 or 3 sessions, I was walking my dog back in. It was an evening, and this beautiful purple plasma craft was directly over our home and had a pink ring around it, and it emitted this beautiful feminine energy. And it was absolutely magnificent. And they've come, they create all of these different experiences for us individually. They curate each of these for us. And that's what's so exciting, is the ability for each of us to share who we are and then have the universe send back to us their interpretation of who we are as noble and beautiful beings. And it's a fantastic pursuit, and I just hope so many of us will do it.
Thank you. I think it's a wave, like Hope said. Maybe this wave is coming through all of humans, all humanity.
I think so. Yeah, and there's so much heaviness now too, and we all can feel that. And something Hope was saying, and I agree with her, something is going to happen. I mean, there's so much turmoil that when it breaks free, and then we can breathe this beautiful air for the first time and not have, so much of this negativity that's so ingrained in our society, and to break free of that. That's the work we're doing. Alan, you have done this for a long time as so many of us have, and you've dedicated your life to this, and I honor you for your work.
Well, I think it's the most exciting and feeling thing happening on Earth. I mean, Geraldine, what did you think of that guy's response to this contact experience?
Yeah, when I saw it, it was amazing. It was amazing that somebody from the military would acknowledge that, because you understand that it's beyond just a material technology or something like that. We're talking about advanced civilizations, advanced consciousness, and the embodiment of that. And what's beautiful is that we understand how we, in order to have that contact, have to prepare ourselves for that. Because even our human race, we don't know love. We're not familiar with love. We're not familiar with peace and harmony, really truly at the core of what that really is. So I think that's a learning curve that each and every one of us have to take. I've been having much more contact in the past year than I have ever before. And it's been so vivid, so powerful, so clear, So I think that when we open the channels, we can open to that. We lift that veil to be able to see clearly, as we were discussing earlier. So I think it's so happy that they published that for people to understand what many experiencers go through. And I felt that exact peace when I was taken with them as well, when I experienced with them many times. Mm-hmm.
I think when I say one more thing, Scott, I think it's catchy. I think, you're in the company of John Martin and he's putting out that thing. You can't help but feel it, so we have to be these messengers.
Every soul here, all of the Peace Tribe, the Global Peace Tribe, when you show everyone, Scott, and the love that is just so imminent through each person, it's just, I'm at a loss for words. It's just very it enriches your heart and your spirit, and it's always such an honor and a pleasure to be here. And thank you for having me tonight.
Oh, well, thank you, John. Thank you, everybody. I want to thank Alan for your amazing ongoing work. Geraldine, thank you for joining us. I always love your presence and your wisdom. And I want to advise people, if you're wanting to have more experiences, work with Geraldine. She can help you to unlock and discover the places inside of you that are available to have these experiences. And certainly, if you could make it to Mount Shasta or Sedona, please join John and hopefully John, and definitely Alan. Maybe hopefully that was a Freudian slip. Alan and Hope, and hopefully John in Sedona or in Mount Shasta. And I want to let people know about our upcoming shows, because we've got some really wonderful upcoming shows. This Saturday night, Exploring the Rise of Telepathy. It's really kind of part 2 of what we were doing tonight. How do we connect? Well, on Saturday night, we're going to be looking at telepathic connection, which is really growing and evolving. Of course, the telepathy tapes is like a phenomenon in terms of how many people are listening to them and how it's changing. Just like seeing all the UFO stuff on national television helps us to trust going out and seeing UFOs, and then we see John, and it helps us to raise that awareness. Well, likewise, we're now acknowledging, okay, we are naturally telepathic. And so we're going to be exploring the rise of telepathy. And we've got some really wonderful people who are going to be working with us on it. Debbie Solaris is terrific. A big thanks to Reverend Jeffrey Colbrook, who has put this together. And we've got one of our favorite musical artists coming back. Theo Grace is going to be with us, and Theo is wonderful. So great music with Theo. Omashar is going to be actually playing at an event, but he has sent a video, so we will have an Omashar video. And why is Jasmine Bear on the poster?
Yay for Jasmine Bear.
Because I want to acknowledge that that's how we communicate to our animal, our fur family, is through telepathy. So Jasmine Bear said, Scott, I want to be included. in your telepathy show. So I granted her that.
Love it.
privilege.
That's great.
You know, they're totally related. Telepathy and UFO, that's the language of, right? It's connected. And actually,
animals and UFOs.
Yeah.
It's amazing. The metallic craft will come in and the hawks will be there circling.
Wow.
And they were over my courtyard. 2 hawks were circling and this double red metallic ball appeared and they all flew away together. It's all connected. It's just amazing.
And by the way, Jasmine Bear has been on my lap for the
There's
last
Jasmine Bear.
hour. Here she is. I also want to let people know that a week from tonight, we've got a wonderful show planned. It's another authors that we love, and Marguerite Rigoglioso is joining us. She's written a new book called The Secret Life of Mother Mary. And she's going to talk about some of the things that we don't know about Jesus's mother, including the relationship between Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene. And so, of course, our good friend Eden Amadora is going to be co-hosting with me. And that's going to be Marguerite has been on the show once before, and she's a very well-respected, acclaimed scholar in this area. So, and this is her brand new book. So it's really exciting that we're going to help launch this book. And I can't wait to hear all about The Secret Life of Mother Mary.
I really like Marguerite. She is one of the true keepers of the divine feminine essence and understands it on a physical level, on an intellectual level, on a spiritual level. She has the complete package there. She really does.
She does. She does. So for all of you watching on Alan Steinfeld's New Realities YouTube channel or on Facebook, or those of you who haven't registered for the new season, now is the time to do it. Just go to globalpeacetribe.com. Globalpeacetribe.com. You can learn all about us, see all the shows that we've got coming up, and click register for the new season. That'll take you to our registration page. You can come in at several different levels. It's very easy. It takes about 2 minutes. And you'll get all the Zoom room links for all of our shows for now all the way till the end of June. And we've got some really wonderful shows planned. We're going to be coming to you from several festivals and fairs, the New Living Expo, the Evolutionary Leaders Circle event in Santa Barbara, the Illuminate Film Festival. You know, we're in that season. So for those of you that can make it to these festivals, no problem. I'm going to bring you the best speakers and presenters from those events. But now is the time to do it. So please register, because I don't want you to miss any of our shows. So it's a good time to register and be with us for this Saturday night, all about telepathy. Next Wednesday night, as we meet Marguerite, who, as Alan says, she's got the goods, kids. She's got the goods. One last thing I want to remind everybody, if you haven't already put into your calendar, what the world needs now is more love and laughter and humor. And so I'm really excited that I'm going to be collaborating with 2 of our favorite Global Peace Tribers, Kristen Hoffman and Swami Beyondananda. And the 3 of us are doing a special show on Sunday, April 13th at 5 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock Eastern. And it's going to be a combination of Kristen doing original music, wit and wisdom from Swami, and I've got a couple of ideas of what I might provide as well. So it's going to be a beautiful evening of love and music and laughter. Please join us. Details are also at globalpeacetribe.com. Make sure you put that into your calendar to join us. It's going to be very, very special. All right. We are going to conclude the way we always begin our show. We begin and end with the Alpha and Omega Man, Omega being short for Om or Omashar. There he is.
Yes, indeed. And what an amazing show tonight. I mean, a show, I can't even call it that. And it really caps it off, Alan, when you brought in the video of that gentleman who was transformed by the presence. Holy smoke. And that is everything encapsulated right there of what we're all doing from our different places, from the music, from the science, from what you put out is amazing. I was just so touched that you brought that in, because it always shows me that I'm in the right place at the right time. We're hearing from each other. And this song I'm going to play is called In the Stillness. And it was initially kind of initiated by my grandmother, who at an early age always used to say to me this little quote, which was, "A wise old owl lived in an oak. The more she saw, the less she spoke. The less she spoke, the more she heard. Why can't we all be like that wise old bird?" And I never really got why she told me that until I started getting really still. And so here we are, getting really still and just changing mic source, and I'll be there in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail.
Quieter you become, the more you can hear. In the silence, in the stillness, I am here. Through the wisdom of your tears, through your heartbreaks, through your breakthroughs, through the shedding of your fears, with you and guiding your way. Know that I am cheering you on. Truth lives within you and love leads us through. I love you. Now your heart and mind is clear, and you know that love is with you, love supports you, love is here. And you feel that you belong, and you're walking with purpose. You can hear your life's new song. With you and guiding your way. Know that I am cheering you on. Truth lives within you and love leads us through. I love you. Through the wisdom of your tears, through your heartbreaks, through your breakthroughs, through the shedding of your fears. So know that I am with you and guiding your way. Know that I am cheering you on. Truth lives within you and love leads us through. I love you. I love you. I love you.
Big twinkles for Omar Shah. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all three songs tonight. Was so right on and so perfect. Thank you, my
It's
beloved.
been a pleasure to be amongst this esteemed audience and these amazing guests. I feel, as always, enlivened. Thank you so much.
I just hope you can swim, Omashar.
I know, dude. I can, luckily.
Okay.
Hey, I want to remind everybody that you can go out and make contact with Alan and Hope and possibly John Martin in Sedona or in Mount Shasta. All the details are at spreadinfinitehope.com. Spreadinfinitehope.com and then /Sedona or /Mount Shasta. And also, again, Geraldine is extraordinary. So the fact that this woman is available to help people really get in touch with their deeper self and their multidimensional self is amazing. So you can book an appointment to see her or learn more about her by going to her name, GeraldineOrozco.com. Highly, highly recommended. Thank you, everybody. It's been a beautiful, beautiful evening. I'm ready for some dinner, and I actually still have a client to talk to tonight. So I am going to say thank you again, Geraldine. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Hope. Happy birthday, Hope. And thank you, John Martin. Just every time we're doing the show, and I know you're going to be on the show, it's like, oh, we're going to get to drop into the love zone, right?
It's always a great pleasure.
And of course, our beloved brother, Omar Shah. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Hey, thanks, Scott, for doing this tirelessly, obviously, because you're tireless. So it's all appreciated.
My pleasure.
Even when you're tired.
Thank you, everybody. And hope to see you all on Saturday night. Let's continue the conversation about telepathy. And I'm going to go to gallery view so we can see all of you. Thank you, everybody. God's blessings and have a beautiful evening. Hope to see you on Saturday night.